Hello again. It's Joey John McGuire. I'm in the Lewis spot, trying to get a decent picture, but there's lights all behind me. My apologies. I'm just unable to put the sun where I want it, only human. Anyway, my nose is cold and my toes are nearly dropping off. They don't put the fire on that often in here, but it's not a bad pub. And old Terry's a lovely man who runs it, so he's worth supporting. And I would recommend that anybody coming to the Western Isles, visiting Stornoway, would come to the spa. There are some very nice people in here. Anyway, cold as I am, I'm about to recite my latest poem. It concerns Brexit. And when in London, until very, very recently, I voted Brexit for the good of my country, even though it was an 80-20 vote in London to remain. Shortly afterwards, I bought a mobile home in France, and all in an area, Dordogne, that they call Britogne, because of all the expats. And I bought somewhere there after I voted Brexit. So I was in London full of Remainers, and then Vertiac in the Dordogne full of Remainers. And then only months later, I've also moved to the Western Isles full of Remainers. But I stand by what my heart tells me. And I'm a man who's been homeless. I've been a victim of incredible violence. I've had a tough life. And I don't vote for the good of myself, I promise you. Anyway, having said all that, and having accused of the media, especially the BBC and ITV, the pair of them have been biased, I suppose in a little way I could be called biased myself, because I voted Brexit. This poem is called Once Upon a Time. Naivety is a cruel executioner, and arrogance holds hands with pride before a huge fall. Self-importance a hammer to the pedestal such people would sit upon. So no big surprise that us lesser beings, those they had a duty to serve, would see from the offset that things would go to the wire, because without no deal on the table, there is no lever with which to negotiate. A referendum, a free vote for all, would see lives disrupted, jobs lost, families torn apart from heart to soul, and false truths, blatant lies forming fake news would stir the disharmony of this nation that once upon a time stood tall. This nation now hangs on bated breath, almost choking with expectancy and fear, and there are two sides to this tale. As smug, know-it-all Remainers hard clench their teeth to prevent revealing smiles, because on the other side of the fence the Brexiteers are wearing the glum look of victors being defeated by nothing less than betrayal, crippled by all the spanners being lobbed into the works. Our way of life, years of union, precious, precious union, all hanging in the balance, and much worse still, democracy in itself totters on the brink of failure as it prepares to shock the world. Who would have thought it, eh? that this tiny archipelago that once covered the Atlas in pink would show itself to be so fragile, though history has taught us all that in the end every empire will fail, as will Europe. For all their wisdom, the Remainers can't help but show their hidden feelings, their lack of insight unwittingly unveiling through drip, then tidal flood, the intentions that they have, and how hard they bite their lips to stop a quiver, for in their hearts they know only too well their intentions not to represent the commands of their constituents. A biased media makes light of the ordinary people's wishes, but to their peril, for such betrayals have a price far greater than any of them can afford. Suppressing riots takes brave men, not just fancy words, and most of our fine politicians have never seen the mob in action, let alone been in the midst of a ruckus and on the receiving end. An educated populace, no longer cannon fodder, will not be easily led, and they have spoken. Joey John Maguire. And I was one of them. Joey John Maguire.